Hello, my friends. Today we will listen again to the whole story of Lumo, Anna, Mikhail, and Artem in a shorter version. Chapter 1. The Day the Sky Burned. Beneath the endless Siberian sky, where birch trees shivered under the wind, there stood a small wooden cabin known as Sunlight Camp, a lone spark of warmth in the heart of the wilderness. Inside lived Anna, a young widow, and her 10-year-old son Mikhail. Their life was simple: bread, fire, light, the sound of a pencil scratching across paper, fragile moments of peace in a world still finding its shape. Then one night the sky tore open. A blinding streak of fire carved across the heavens, brighter than dawn. The forest of Tunguska lit up like day, and then came the sound, not thunder, but a roar that shook the earth itself. The blast flattened trees for miles. Animals fled. The horizon burned red. Anna clutched her son as their cabin rattled, watching that terrible light fade into the northern sky. To her it was a curse. To Mikhail it was a miracle. At dawn, when the smoke still veiled the horizon, mother and son followed the trail north. Where the forest once stood, there was only ash and silence, and at the center of it, a crater of molten glass still pulsing faintly with light. Inside it lay a small being, fragile, pale-skinned, with eyes of liquid silver. Mikhail knelt beside it. "Are you okay?" The creature made a sound, not quite words, but something like broken music. The boy smiled and whispered, "I'll call you Lumo. It means light." Anna trembled, torn between terror and wonder. Yet the kindness in her son's gaze broke something inside her fear. They brought the being home. Days passed, and Sunlight Camp changed forever. Lumo was not like anything of this world. He fed on light, slept suspended in air, healed wounds with a single touch. Anna watched in awe as the well water glowed silver whenever he drank from it. Mikhail followed him everywhere, teaching him to draw, to laugh, to speak. Mikhail, Anna, Lumo. He repeated their names slowly, his voice trembling like a child learning to dream. For a moment, under that roof, they were simply a family, a mother, a boy, and the light that fell from the sky. But miracles never stay secret. Villagers saw the silver glow at night. They whispered that Anna had made a pact with something unholy, a child of fire fallen from the stars. Fear turned to hatred. And one morning, soldiers came. Led by Captain Orloff and his scientists, they stormed the cabin, tore through every room, and found Lumo by the window. A net of electricity fell over him. He screamed, a sound that cracked glass and hearts alike. Mikhail tried to fight, biting, kicking, shouting, but a soldier struck him down. Anna screamed as they dragged Lumo away. "This creature belongs to the Tsar!" And then they were gone. That night, Anna held her son in the dark, but despair did not break her. "We'll bring him back," she said, "no matter what it costs." They tracked the soldiers through the forest to a hidden research camp. Under a moonless sky, Anna carried her dead husband's rifle. Mikhail clutched a loaf of bread and a bandage roll. They slipped inside through the back fence, and there, beneath flickering lamps, they found Lumo chained to a metal table, skin burned, light dimming. Anna broke the locks. Mikhail ran to him, whispering his name. The alarms went off. Bullets, shouting, fire, chaos swallowed the night. They fled into the woods, 3 silhouettes against a sea of flames. The chase stretched till dawn. Dogs howled. Snow hissed under their feet. Anna stumbled, wounded, but Lumo pressed his glowing hand to her side, sealing the wound with light. For the first time, she called him softly. "Thank you, my son." Then came the shot. Mikhail fell. Blood blossomed through his coat. Lumo screamed, and the world exploded in silver. Waves of energy burst outward, shattering rifles, melting snow, silencing everything. He knelt beside the boy and pressed his palm to the wound. The light flared. Mikhail breathed again. Anna sobbed with relief, holding them both as the dawn bled over the horizon. Lumo looked at them, eyes shining, heart trembling, and for the first time, the light learned what love was. But fate was not done. Above the burning forest, the sky opened once more. A massive ship of shimmering metal descended, the beings of light who had come for their lost child. From within the blinding glow, a voice called, "Come home, our son." On the ground, soldiers regrouped. Cannons turned upward. Between heaven and humanity, the three stood small and helpless. Anna raised her arms, shouting to the sky, "Don't hurt him, please!" The soldiers fired. A single bullet found her heart. She fell into Mikhail's arms. Lumo cried out, a sound so pure and terrible that the air itself ignited. And then, the sky burned. A storm of light swept across Siberia, flattening forests, shaking continents. History would remember it as the Tunguska event. But for those three souls, it was the day love met the fury of the stars. From within the explosion, two radiant beings descended, Lumo's parents, and seeing their child cradling a dying human woman, they paused. "You choose them." Lumo's voice was calm, trembling with tears. "I don't choose. Love doesn't choose. They are my family, as you are." The elder beings lowered their gaze. When they left, the world went quiet again, only ash, snow, and light swirling through the trees. Mikhail awoke beside his mother's motionless body, and beside him, Lumo knelt, fading, smiling. He reached out, touched the boy's cheek, and whispered one last word. "Live." Then he vanished, leaving behind only a single shard of silver light pulsing like a heart. People would speak of it for centuries, a meteor, an explosion, an unsolved mystery. But to Mikhail, it was the day he lost a friend, and the day he learned that even stars can weep. And far above the earth, drifting in silence, something ancient still echoed that promise, a light that never truly dies. Chapter 2. The Keeper of Light Winter, 1914. The war had already swallowed half of Europe, and now it devoured those who had nothing to do with it. Hidden deep in the northern frontier, Camp Veyron was a frozen hell, a place where the living envied the dead. Inside a wooden barrack, Anna sat huddled against the wall, her breath shallow, her lungs consumed by tuberculosis. Next to her was her 17-year-old son, Mikhail, no longer a child, not yet a man, but his eyes carried the weight of years. He tried to feed her from a tin bowl of frozen gruel. "Mama, please, eat something." Anna smiled weakly, lips pale and cracked. "You eat, my son. You need it more." A cough tore through her, red flecks staining her hand. She still smiled, always smiling after pain, and whispered, "Don't look at me like that, Misha. Hope is all we have left." Outside, the iron bell rang. Prisoners stumbled into the yard, wrapped in rags, herded into lines under the snow. When Mikhail tried to help his mother stand, a guard pushed him aside. "Leave the woman. Only the able ones work. She's sick. She needs help." The rifle butt slammed into his shoulder. "Then she's one less mouth to feed." Anna cried out. Mikhail glared at the man, hatred flaring for the first time. That night he stayed awake beside her. Wind seeped through the cracks in the wall like knives. "Mama," he whispered, "do you think they'll ever let us go?" "No, my love," she said after a long pause. "The world will forget us before that happens." He took her hand, cold, paper-thin, and promised himself he would not forget. Days blurred into weeks. Each morning new corpses were dragged outside, people who had simply stopped breathing in the night. No one cried anymore. Even grief had frozen. Anna grew weaker, her breath a thin rasp. Mikhail pressed his ear to her chest, listening to her heartbeat fading like dying fire. "Mama!" Stay with me. She opened her eyes, distant and glassy. Listen to me, Misha, she murmured. No, don't talk. Save your strength. A trembling hand touched his cheek. If the world tries to take your light, don't let it. Remember, Lumo, remember what he meant. Her hand slipped away. Her breathing stopped. Mama? Only silence. In that frozen barrack, under a collapsing roof, a 17-year-old boy became an orphan. The last warmth of his world died with her, and in its place, something darker was born. Days later, guards entered again with a list of names. Mikhail Antonov. Why? He asked dully. The Empire needs men. Or boys, doesn't matter. He still clutched his mother's scarf. If fighting means killing men like you, he said coldly, maybe I already am a man. The guard struck him across the face and dragged him away. His last sight of the camp was his mother's body, wrapped in a blanket, waiting to be thrown into the frozen pit behind the barracks. You told me to live, he whispered. I will, but not the way they want. That night, the train left the camp. Mikhail sat among other prisoners, staring at the snow rushing past the cracks. He held the scarf to his face. The scent of his mother still lingered faintly, keeping the darkness at bay. Half asleep, he saw it again, the silver light falling from the sky, the creature from another world. He heard a voice, soft, familiar. You called to me. Not yet, he whispered, but soon. The train rattled through mountains and ruins. Some prisoners died on the way. Their bodies were thrown into the snow. When the air began to smell of salt, a guard announced their destination. Gallipoli, welcome to the war. The survivors were forced into Ottoman uniforms that reeked of mold. A scarred officer barked orders. You fight for the Empire now. Fight or die. Mikhail took the rusted rifle handed to him. It felt heavy, not like a weapon, but like a sentence. Gallipoli was not a battlefield. It was a graveyard pretending to be one. Mud mixed with blood. Oil floated on the waves, and the air trembled under the roar of distant cannons. In the barracks, Mikhail met Ali, a young Turkish conscript barely older than him. Ali spoke enough Russian to share a few words and half a crust of bread. You're not from here, Ali said. From a camp in the north. Then you fight like me. He smiled faintly. They said I owed my country my life, so I gave it. The laughter that followed carried no joy, only surrender. April 1915. At dawn, the Aegean Sea flamed beneath the guns of the Allied fleet. Warships loomed offshore, cannons thundering. The beach erupted in mud and fire. In a narrow trench, Mikhail crouched beside Ali, clutching his rifle. They're coming! When the whistle blew, the sea moved, alive with landing boats. Fire! The command tore through the air. Hundreds of rifles cracked. Machine guns screamed. Men fell before they even touched the shore. Blood spread across the waves. Mikhail fired blindly through smoke and fear. Then, a blast. The ground split open. When the dust settled, Ali was bleeding beside him. Tell my mother, I fought. His hand fell still. Mikhail stared, hollow, surrounded by bodies. A bullet struck his chest. The world spun. He fell face down into the mud, tasting iron. As darkness closed in, he heard his mother's voice. Never lose the light inside you. Mother, I'm sorry. The ground trembled. Not from shells, but from something deeper. The air thickened, charged with energy. Through the smoke, a silver glow appeared, floating above the battlefield. The gunfire faltered. The wind died. Time itself seemed to stop. Bullets hung frozen mid-air. Flames curved upward, but did not burn. And in that impossible stillness, Mikhail saw him. Lumo. No longer the small, fragile being from Siberia, but tall, radiant, woven from pure light. "Mikhail," said a voice inside his mind. "I heard you." Tears filled his eyes. "I thought you were gone forever." "I was never gone, only far." For a heartbeat outside of time, the two stood together again, the boy and the light. Then reality cracked. Time resumed. Soldiers screamed. Both armies turned toward the glow. "A demon!" shouted one side. "Fire! Kill it!" yelled the other. Gunfire erupted. Bullets struck the light and dissolved into silver dust. Lumo lifted his hand. A wave of radiance swept across the field, not violent but pure. Weapons fell from hands. Men dropped to their knees, faces peaceful as sleep. The light did not destroy. It soothed. "What did you do?" Mikhail whispered. "Nothing," Lumo said gently. "I showed them what they are. They'll wake and fight again. Then let them remember this, the moment they stopped." Above them, the sky twisted. Clouds spiraled into a vast circle of silver flame, a gate pulsing with life. The earth shook. The wind screamed. Lumo looked upward. "It's time to leave this world." "Where will we go?" "Beyond, where war can't reach." Mikhail hesitated, staring at the battlefield, the blood, the bodies, the silence that would follow. "If I go, who will remember them?" "You will," Lumo replied, "and that is enough." Tears blurred his vision. "Then, take me with you." Their hands met. Light poured into Mikhail's veins, merging flesh and energy, until he no longer knew where he ended and Lumo began. The gate opened wide. Winds roared. From below, the surviving soldiers shielded their eyes as the two figures rose in a column of light. "They'll keep fighting," Mikhail said softly. "One day they'll stop." Lumo answered, "When they remember what they lost." The light flared, then vanished. When the glow faded, Gallipoli was silent. Smoke drifted slowly. The sea lay calm. Those who lived told stories of a miracle, of a boy and a being of silver who rose into the sky. Some called it divine, others called it madness, but all remembered one thing. For a single, fleeting moment, the war stopped. In later years, fishermen on the Gallipoli coast spoke of nights when the moonlight shimmered strangely on the water, and they could hear a faint hum, like a lullaby carried from beyond the stars. From the frozen prisons of Siberia to the burning shores of Gallipoli, Mikhail's life was not a tale of survival, but of remembrance, of guarding the light that his mother and Lumo had given him. The world could drown in war, but a single spark of light could still hold back the dark. And on that day, amid blood and fire, that light shone once more. Chapter 3. The symbiote after everything, Mikhail drifted through the silence between worlds. No gravity, no sound, no pain. Only light, soft, warm, wrapping around him like a quiet embrace. When he opened his eyes, he found himself floating inside a sphere of silver, drifting through the endless black of space. Far away, rivers of stars flowed like living light. And there, standing at the heart of it all, was Lumo, his glow now calm, no longer blinding, almost human. "You're safe now," Lumo said, his voice echoing gently within Mikhail's mind. Below them, Earth shimmered, small, blue, fragile, floating in the vast dark. "That's home," Mikhail whispered. "Yes," Lumo said softly. "Beautiful, isn't it?" The sphere trembled slightly. Outside, an enormous ship of crystal and light unfolded, alive, breathing, surrounded by thousands of luminous beings moving like constellations. Their hum filled the void, forming a haunting, serene melody. Mikhail held his breath. "They're your people." "Yes." Lumo smiled faintly. "My family. They've been waiting for me to come home." But amid that beauty, Mikhail felt small again, a lonely fragment of humanity adrift among the stars. "So, what happens now?" Now. Lumo's smile softened. Now you live. You'll see things your world has never dreamed of. Mikhail shook his head slowly. I'm not like you, Lumo. I'm just human. Lumo chuckled. That's not a bad thing. Maybe not, but down there no one's waiting for me. Still, it's where I belong. The light around Lumo dimmed, and outside a stellar gate began to form, a swirling spiral of silver energy stretching into infinity. How far are you going this time? Far, Lumo said quietly. Beyond the maps, beyond where light returns. Then you won't come back. Not this time. Mikhail swallowed hard. Then let me go home. Lumo froze for a moment, as though he hadn't expected that. Home? Back to the chaos? You know what they did to you, Mikhail. I know, Mikhail said firmly. But it's still my world, my people, my mess. I want to live there, even if it's from nothing. Lumo looked at him for a long time. His eyes softened, not angry, not disappointed, only sad. You really are stubborn. I learned from the best. Mikhail smirked. Lumo laughed, a sound like sunlight after a long winter. All right, he said gently. If that's what you want, I won't stop you, but take something with you. He raised his hand. A small orb of light appeared, swirling silver and black, like a piece of night with a heartbeat. What is that? A part of me, said Lumo. Its name is Noctis, born from the night between stars. It'll stay with you, protect you, when I can't. The little being floated forward, touched Mikhail's chest and melted into him, a faint spiral mark glowing beneath, his skin pulsing with his heart. Don't worry, Lumo smiled. It won't bite. Think of it as a friend I'm leaving behind. Then I'll take good care of it, Mikhail said, his voice trembling. Before them, the portal opened wide, showing the blue skies of Earth, so close and yet heartbreakingly far. Once you cross, we won't be able to talk again, Lumo whispered. Not even a hello? Mikhail smiled faintly. Not even that. This time I'm going beyond reach. Mikhail hesitated, then stepped forward and pulled Lumo into a clumsy, human hug. Thank you. For everything. For saving me. Hey. Lumo's voice cracked, almost human. You saved me first, when you believed in me. They held each other for one last heartbeat. Two souls standing on the edge of forever. Promise me one thing, Lumo said. Don't let the world make you forget who you are. I won't, Mikhail whispered. He stepped into the light. Wind swirled around him, silver and soft, like a farewell. When he turned back, Lumo was smiling. And then the light swallowed him whole. Mikhail opened his eyes. The sky was grey, the sea roared. He lay on a cold, empty shore, alone. From afar, the echoes of artillery rolled across the wind. The war had not yet ended. He touched his chest. The spiral mark still pulsed faintly beneath his skin. Goodbye, Lumo, he whispered. Above, a streak of silver light crossed the clouds and vanished. And from deep within him, a voice, gentle, familiar, spoke softly. You were never truly alone, Mikhail. Time passed like a fading dream. Mikhail lived on. Empires rose and fell, wars began and ended. Yet he remained, quiet, unchanged, like a shadow that refused to fade. For within his heart, Noctis, the fragment of Lumo, still lived. By 2015, Mikhail was old and frail, lying in a snow-lit hospital room. Beside him sat his great-grandson, Artem, a young man of reason and disbelief. Artem, Mikhail rasped. There are things you won't understand yet, but one day you will. Don't talk like that, Grandpa. You'll be okay. No, he smiled weakly. My time's over, but I have something for you. He pressed his trembling hand to his chest. A faint silver glow flickered beneath his skin. This is my last gift. Before Artem could speak, the light faded, and Mikhail was gone. Artem stayed beside him for hours, thinking it was nothing more than a dying man's dream. He didn't know that something inside him had awakened, something that had chosen him next. 3 years later, Artem had become a sharp, skeptical journalist, a man who believed only in what could be proven. Until one night, in the ruins of an abandoned factory outside Moscow, the world proved him wrong. He'd come to investigate a series of disappearances. Locals whispered of something in the dark. He laughed at the stories, until he saw it. Ripple across the ceiling. A sound, wet, soft, wrong. He turned his flashlight upward and froze. A liquid shadow hung above him, black, metallic, glimmering faintly silver. It moved. Then it fell. Before he could scream, it struck him, enveloping him in living darkness. And everything went white. When he woke, his lungs burned. His skin glowed faintly. Then, a voice, deep and dry, echoed inside his skull. "Finally, you're awake. Who said that? Don't shout. You'll make my head hurt. Where are you?" "Inside. Where else?" Under his skin, something shimmered, moving. "Get out. Get the hell out of me." "I can't. You'd be dead if I did." "What are you?" "I'm Noctis, the one your ancestor called friend." Artem froze. That name, he'd heard it once, from his dying grandfather. "You're lying." "Am I? You think that old man lived 100 years by luck?" Power surged through him. Silver veins pulsed under his skin. He screamed, "Stop! I don't want this!" Neither did he at first. The factory roof collapsed, fire spreading fast. Noctis took control. "Hold on." Artem's body moved on its own, leaping through flames, climbing walls, escaping into the freezing night. Witnesses swore they saw a black silver figure dart across rooftops, half man, half shadow. When he woke again, he was lying on the roof of an old building. No burns, no broken bones, only the voice. "You're welcome. I didn't ask for this. You're alive because of me. Then take it back. Too late. You and I are one now." Artem clenched his fists. "If you're inside me, you live by my rules." "Good." Noctis growled. "I hate weak hosts." A quiet laugh followed, low, rough, unsettlingly human. In that moment, Artem saw a flash, Lumo's smile, floating among the stars. "He's still out there," Noctis whispered. "And now, it's your turn." Artem couldn't sleep anymore. Noctis whispered constantly, sometimes mocking, sometimes warning, always testing. He began to see visions, silver oceans, alien skies, and a name echoing. Lumo. "Am I going insane?" "No," said Noctis. "You're not seeing my memories. You're seeing his." One night, he accidentally used the power to save a stranger, but Noctis took over, ruthless and efficient. "You're a monster," Artem shouted. "I was made to protect." Noctis snarled. "Humans destroy, I endure." They fought, but the bond between them deepened. Later, Artem dreamed of Lumo, standing before the gate of light, giving Noctis to Mikhail. "Protect him, even if he hates you." When Artem woke, his voice trembled. "He cared about us." Noctis said nothing, only silence, heavy and almost human. A secret Black Ops group detected strange energy. They called it the Tunguska residual. They came for Artem. "They've hunted me since before. Your great-grandfather was born." Noctis warned. When they attacked, Artem and Noctis fought together for the first time, unwillingly, but perfectly in sync. After escaping, Artem sat in the rain, exhausted. "You still think I'm the monster?" "No," he said quietly. "You're what's left of him." And then, a soft voice, faint and far, drifted through the bond. "Artem, the light is never gone. It only changes form." Artem closed his eyes. "Then show me how to find it." Alarms blared red through the Directorate's underground base. Artem ran through the corridors, soldiers closing in. "They've locked every exit." "Then we make one," Noctis replied. They merged, armor of black and silver rising from his skin, heartbeat doubling. Gunfire erupted. The hall became chaos. Then the Iron Warden, a massive combat mech, appeared. "Subject 0 and 7, surrender or be terminated. You first." The fight shook the facility. Missiles, flames, silver blades, until the reactor exploded, tearing the corridor apart. When the smoke cleared, Artem crawled from the rubble. Rain poured down through a shattered ceiling. They stumbled out into the night. Behind them, the base collapsed in a tower of fire. "We're free," Artem said. "No," Noctis answered. "They'll never stop." "Then let them come. I'm done running." "You sound like me. Maybe we're not so different anymore." For a long moment, they stood in the rain, man and symbiote, two reflections sharing one heart. Artem looked back once more. Deep beneath the ruins, a single containment pod still glowed red. Something moved inside, slow, rhythmic, waiting. What now? We find whoever started this. Together. Always. Thunder rolled. Rain fell heavier, washing the blood and smoke away. In a puddle at their feet, two faces stared back, one human, one not, merging into a single shadow. They rose and disappeared into the storm. And from deep below the earth, a heartbeat echoed, slow, cold, alive. A reminder that the story was not yet over. Chapter 4. Goodbye. Lumo, goodbye Noctis. 3 months after the fall of the Directorate, Moscow had become a city of ghosts. Among the ruins and the howling winter wind, Artem hid inside an abandoned warehouse. His body had grown thin. Beneath his skin, the silver veins of Noctis pulsed faintly, weaker each day. The symbiote's voice, once sharp and alive, now trembled like a dying radio signal. "You're fading," Artem whispered. "Maybe that's how it's meant to be," Noctis replied. The bond that once made them unstoppable was breaking apart. Noctis confessed that his purpose, to protect Mikhail, was fulfilled, and that Artem, though carrying the same blood, was not him. For months they had done nothing but run, from soldiers, from surveillance, from themselves. Then a voice came from the shadows. Dr. Elena Serov, the scientist who, once helped create Noctis, stepped through the door. She looked exhausted, her eyes haunted by years of guilt. And she brought a truth that neither man nor symbiote wished to hear. Before the Directorate collapsed, they had split Noctis apart, isolating his anger, fear, and instinct for survival into a new entity. That fragment had lived. Its name was Crimson. Elena led Artem to her old laboratory, now a graveyard of charred metal and forgotten files. There, she revealed that Crimson was not a copy, but the shadow half of Noctis, the result of teaching an artificial being how to fear. "You were the first to teach me fear, weren't you, Elena?" Noctis murmured through Artem. Elena froze, voice trembling. "Yes, and I'm still paying for it." That night, Artem dreamed of a corridor lined with mirrors. In each reflection stood Noctis, but in some, the silver light faded to red. From the depths of the glass came a voice, low and cold. "I am what you left behind." The mirror shattered. Crimson stepped out, a being of blood and smoke, eyes burning like dying stars. "Come back. Let us be whole again." Noctis appeared beside Artem, silver light flaring. "You're not me. I'm what you become when you stop pretending to be human." Red and silver clashed. Artem woke, breath ragged. Crimson had seen them. And he was coming. Deep beneath Mount Elbrus, Directorate Facility 12 came back to life. Inside its lowest chamber, scientists attempted to harness Crimson's energy through a human host. At first, the subject screamed, and then silence, They thought it failed, until the monitors spiked. "Pain," a voice said from everywhere at once. "That's the first thing I remember. Thank you for reminding me." The lights went out. When they flickered back, only blood remained. And in the center stood Crimson. 2 days later, Elena and Artem reached the mountain. Inside the ruined complex, walls pulsed red like living flesh. And in the heart of the chamber stood Crimson, waiting. "Hello, brother," he said, his voice echoing from 100 throats. "I've been waiting." Noctis rose within Artem, his silver light roaring like thunder. "I'm no brother of yours!" The two merged, silver wrapping around flesh, and the room exploded in a storm of red and white. Metal screamed. The mountain shook. Crimson was faster, untamed. Noctis fought with precision, but Artem's body trembled under the strain. "You're weak because you need him." Crimson sneered. "I'm strong because I need no one." "You're wrong," Noctis roared. "Because of him, I remember who I am." A burst of light hurled Crimson backward into the wall, but he only laughed, a sound sharp as tearing steel. "You're dying, Noctis. When your light fades, I'll devour what's left." He dissolved into mist and vanished into the shadows. Moments later, the entire facility erupted, flames tearing through the mountain. As Artem and Elena escaped into the snow, Crimson's voice lingered in the wind. "We share the same heartbeat, and I will return." In the days that followed, Artem and Noctis grew weaker. Their connection flickered like a candle struggling to survive the wind. Every pulse of shared energy drained them both faster. Elena realized that if nothing changed, the bond would collapse, and with it, their lives. So she proposed a desperate plan. Use Artem as bait to lure Crimson into a trap before he regained full strength. They chose an abandoned hospital on the outskirts as their battleground. When Crimson arrived, his voice was calm, mocking. "You think light can cage the dark?" The trap activated, electromagnetic coils igniting in a blinding blaze. Silver and crimson collided, shattering glass and stone. Crimson's body cracked apart, screaming in fury before twisting into a storm of red smoke and vanishing into the night. The battle was won, but the victory was hollow. Noctis's energy was nearly spent. "Each fight costs me another piece of myself," he rasped. Elena's voice was low, grim. "Then we find your origin energy, before Crimson does." 3 weeks later, the frozen wastes of Siberia stretched endlessly before them. They reached the Tunguska crater, the place where it all began. Noctis recognized it instantly. "This is where I was born." When Artem touched the glass-like ground, memories flooded his mind. Mikhail's laughter, Lumo's light, and the silver-red storm that tore the sky apart a century ago. Then Noctis spoke the truth. He and Crimson were both fragments of Lumo's consciousness, the human part left behind when Lumo descended to Earth. "I learned emotion from humans," he said softly. "Love, grief, and fear. But when that fear grew too strong, it split from me. That fragment became Crimson, my shadow." Elena's voice trembled. "My God! So the Tunguska explosion wasn't a meteor. It was you!" From the darkness of the trees, Crimson emerged, vast, unbound, burning like molten fire. "You're fading, brother," he rumbled. "It's time to be whole again. No light, no dark, only us." The sky above Tunguska split open. Silver and red lightning clashed, ripping through the clouds. The earth cracked, energy pillars bursting upward. "If you merge, the planet won't survive," Elena shouted. Crimson only laughed. "Humans still think they get to choose." Artem stood between the two forces, wind tearing at his coat. Noctis's voice echoed inside him. "I can stop him, but I'll have to take him with me." "No, there has to be another way." "There isn't." They charged. Silver and crimson spiraled together like colliding stars. "Thank you, Artem," Noctis whispered. "You taught me that humans aren't weak. They just know how to love. And I finally learned how to die free." The explosion consumed them both, light and shadow merging into one blinding sphere before fading into silence. Artem woke to the sound of a heart monitor. White light, the smell of antiseptic. He was in a hospital in Irkutsk. Outside, snow drifted over the quiet forest. Elena sat beside him, her eyes softer than ever. "You're awake." "Noctis." She shook her head. "There's no one left, just you." He pressed a hand to his chest. "No mark, no silver, only a human heartbeat." "What about Tunguska?" "Silent," she said. "No more light, no more darkness." He smiled faintly. "Then, it's over." Elena stood, her voice gentle but heavy. "Nothing ever truly ends, Artem. We just learn to live with what remains." When she left, Artem turned toward the window. A silver streak crossed the sky and vanished into the clouds, and for a brief second he felt another heartbeat, faint, distant, but real. "I told you," came Noctis's fading voice, soft as light. "You'll never be alone." Artem closed his eyes and smiled. Outside, the sun rose over the snowfields, scattering light across the silent world. And deep beneath Tunguska's ashes, the earth trembled once. 2 heartbeats, now 1. Because light was never gone. It simply changed form, to keep on living. End.